Hi everyone, today let's talk about Boeing. Boeing's price action has certainly been pretty difficult to predict, and it hasn't been great for the bulls here. Since March of 2021, it's been on this very consistent downtrend. But there's a couple things here that I do want to talk about outside just the technical picture, and the primary thing here is that China has finally recertified the 737 MAX. Then I'll talk about one of the recent orders, and Boeing continues to get orders for 737 MAXs despite their difficulty actually producing airlines. Of course, not everything has been positive for Boeing. They continue to cut back on their 787 deliveries, and this is due to quality issues that they haven't really been able to correct, and they continue to push back their delivery dates. And I'll go over the technical picture on this pretty convoluted chart. And I'll go over my current position and what I'm expecting to make on these options. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this as well as portfolio overviews every single week, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So as I mentioned, China finally recertified the 737 MAX. This means that the 737 can now fly around the world, as it's been flying around the US and Europe for about a year without incident. China was the last holdout, and now finally they have recertified it, which is a great victory for Boeing and should further generate more demand for the 737 MAX. This also increases their ability to make new versions of the plane going forward using this as the base model, which should generate more income and reduce development costs. They say that MAX deliveries could begin again in 2022 first quarter, which obviously would be great for Boeing as China represents around 25% of the global market for airliners and had taken around 22% of the MAXs before they were grounded. This continues to support that price target of around $275 per share, which gives the stock an opportunity to continue to improve after the 737 MAX difficulties and COVID. Some people think the stock could go over $300, and I was certainly one of them, based on the technical picture, which of course we will talk about a little bit later. Of course, if COVID continues to plague the aerospace industry, it certainly is a difficulty for Boeing. Next, Boeing continues to get orders, but it doesn't mean that much if they can't deliver. They continue to receive 777 orders as well as 737 MAX orders, which continues to boost the stock in the short term. But really, they just need to deliver more planes and get through the difficulties that they're having with quality assurance. Once they get through that, they should be able to start generating a profit and cutting back on some of the debt that they had to accrue in order to bridge the gap between airline deliveries. Of course, not everything is great for the company right now. Boeing stock falls because of 787 delays, which have already been pretty delayed going forward. And companies like American Airlines are now saying that they can't do as much business as they expected to because of these delays. They expected to have around 13 of them by winter, but they won't be able to do that because Boeing continues to have difficulty delivering them. They had many of these seasonal flights expected, and that's why they were ordering all these planes, but they continue to be slowed because of production, and these deliveries are now expected by 1 April, which is much later than initially thought. Of course, this is all because of the comprehensive inspections that they've had to do because of the FAA issues, because the FAA is now looking into these planes quite a bit closer than they were because of the issues from the 737, which, if you've been following Boeing, you know that this has certainly been a difficulty for them. Moving over here to the technical picture, this is the weekly chart. And you can see we've been in this downtrend since mid-March of this year, and we're currently in a reasonable support zone below the mid-level of this small downtrend here. And it seems like we may have found a little bit of support after this pretty dramatic dip here in the last week of November, but this is certainly in a short-term bearish structure. If we do see a nice little pop up here and break through this resistance point, kind of like we saw here, but this was a little bit of a fake out, and we'll look at this closer on the 1-day chart here. This breakout here to the 200 EMA on the daily chart was rejected all the way down here to $188 per share at the lows, which was pretty dramatic. Since then, we had a short-term rally, hoping we're going to see just a little bit of retracement, and then a push actually back up to this next resistance point, somewhere around $218 per share would be great. Of course, if we could get a retest of the 200 EMA, that would be even better, expected to be somewhere around $225 per share, representing around $20 per share of upside from current prices. And going back to the weekly chart, I do want to mention this very, very long-term trend line that has represented a lot of reactions over time. This actually goes back even further here to 1968, representing the highs here in the 80s, support in 88, support again here in 93, support and resistance through the 2000s, resistance again in 2010, and then support here in 2016. You can see it was a resistance point here, support and resistance with reactions on both sides in 2000. And then here again, it looks like this may be a nice little support level, which could potentially represent the end of this downtrend. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for here. So once we broke above that, you can see it was pretty dramatic. We are then retesting that level here in November of 21, which at least in my opinion, we should see a move back up to the 50-week EMA, which is currently sitting at 225. So we have a lot of different reasons to expect the stock to bounce into this 225 range. And as I mentioned, we have multiple levels of support here, representing potential upside of around $20 per share. If you want to take a look at the Tasty charts also, you can see that same downtrend here on the daily chart that I mentioned. And then we have the ATR bands as well as the ATR stop losses here. And you can see currently the ATR stop loss is right at resistance at $217 if you are short. And right now they don't recommend being long, but I don't really use this as too much of an indicator in terms of entry. I just use it as something to pay attention to when these trends start to break down. If we do see a break of that level, it could indicate more upside, but that usually doesn't give you the best entry. I also have the stochastic RSI down here, which is another Tastyworks original indicator. Really the best way to trade all of these indicators is when you have this oversold down here, as well as at the bottom of this ATR range. That's generally when you want to potentially enter, and if you did enter, you would be in a pretty nice profit right now. Looking at the RSI, it does show a little bit overbought, but it can stay overbought for a while, and we're not at that top ATR band in terms of potentially selling. So I do expect a little bit more upside from here, which would be great and allow me to exit this position for a profit. Moving over here to my current position, you can see the stock is trading right at $205.06. And if the stock rallies all the way up here to $210, which is where I've sold this put option, within the next 5 days, I'll make $650 on Boeing. And my break even is down here around $203.57. So as long as it stays where it's at or rallies at least a little bit, I'll make some money. I may or may not accept these shares if it does go down, but really I would like the stock to rally and close over $210 per share. Let me know what you think of Boeing going forward. Is this stock going to continue to downtrend, or is this a nice little support level and time to start buying again? Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes, and have a great day.